Today, we shall learn what's book building process and how does it work. Before we begin, let's recapitulate some relevant concepts about the primary market. So, we first begin with understanding various modes of raising capital in the primary market. There are mainly three modes to access primary market for obtaining capital funds. These are, as you can note on the screen, prospects, private placement, and rights issue. Let's grasp these concepts briefly. First method that companies can use to access primary market for capital raising is by prospects or public offer. This route is a bit difficult and expensive as well. This is so because it would require a capital raising company to satisfy stringent regulatory norms before it's allowed to go to market with its offer. Further, under this mode, the capital raising company is likely to incur heavy costs on account of administering its capital offer in the market. Therefore, many companies might feel prospectus route not a feasible idea for them. The second method of raising capital from primary market is called private placement. As the name suggests, in a private placement, offer and sale of shares is made between an issuing company and a select number of investors. This method, unlike prospects mode, is cheaper and doesn't involve compliance of tough regulatory norms. One more advantage of this method is that it provides flexibility to the parties in the transaction. Finally, we have rights issue. The rights issue is very unique as securities under this mode can only be offered and sold to the existing shareholders. Under this method, new securities are sold to existing shareholders exclusively just to ensure that their stake or control in the business is not diluted by allowing new shareholders to enter into the business. A company can issue capital by offer document in two ways. One, when a private company approaches capital market for the first time ever to raise capital. Such an activity of the company would be called initial public offer or IPO. Second is when a company comes to the market again for raising capital from public for the second time or subsequent to its initial public offer. That time it may be called follow-up public offer or FPO. In case of an IPO, the capital issuing company is yet not listed on the stock exchange. However, contrast to this, the capital issuing company may already be listed on the exchange when it launches its follow-on public offer. Now, these are the key intermediaries or managers that are engaged by an issuer company during a public offer. They work for capital issuing companies to advise them and to manage the entire capital offer from filing of registration of capital issue with the regulators to drafting of the offer document and finally listing of securities on the stock exchange. Out of these intermediaries, one of the lead managers acts as a book running lead manager to lead various activities during the entire public offer. We already saw that companies can raise capital from the market through offer document or prospects. Now, what's this prospects all about? Let's try to understand, right? To this question, it can be said that a prospectus is a formal document that is required to be prepared by the capital issuing company in consultation with their investment banker. To understand a prospectus and an IPO simply, just think of your resume and some job opening. As an analogy to this example, the prospectus is a document that contains the facts about a capital offer, which may be useful to a prospective investor to make an informed investment decision. Right? From the regulatory point of view, the prospectus is a formal legal document, which is to be filed with the Securities and Exchange Board of India or SEBI. SEBI makes it obligatory for issuing companies to comply such requirements because by doing so, SEBI ensures that no fraudulent companies are allowed to cheat gullible investors in the capital market. Now we introduce the concept of the red herring prospectus. This is the prospectus that's used when a public offer is priced following book building mechanism. When book building is used, the issue price is not known in advance. Rather, it's known only after bidding process under book building is completed. Therefore, red herring prospectus contains most of the information pertaining to a company's operations and its future projections, but it misses the key details of the issue such as issue price and the number of shares offered. However, under this system, the issuer, in consultation with its investment banker, discloses the upper and the lower price bands so that prospective investors are able to bid for the offer of the capital. These are the various necessary activities or requirements that have to be fulfilled by the issuing company with the support of its investment banker lead manager before preparing its draft red herring prospectus. Right? Let's read them out one by one. First of all, size of the issue, that's number of shares to be issued and composition, that's type of security to be issued, is to be worked out, right? Second requirement is obtaining of authorization from board of directors and subsequently from shareholders for floating of a public issue in the market. Third requirement is recasting and auditing of last 5 years accounts as per SEBI guidelines, right? Fourth requirement is obtaining a Foreign Investment Promotion Board and Reserve Bank of India approval for issuing and transfer of securities to non-resident Indians, foreign institutional investors, and foreign venture capital investors. Right. The sixth requirement would be bringing out amendment in memorandum and articles of association to allow a company seek listing on the stock exchange. The seventh requirement involves seeking of in principle approval from the stock exchanges before SEBI observations on draft red herring prospects are received. Right. Last but not the least, lead manager must conduct due diligence on all pertinent matters relating to a proposed IPO. Now let's find out what are the vital disclosures that an issuing company is required to make in a draft red herring prospectus. These disclosures may include financials, objectives of the issue, reasons for raising money, the way money is proposed to be spent, and the return expected on the money, project details, details of the promoters and management, outstanding litigations against the company and directors, auditors' reports, management discussion, and analysis of financial performance, related party transactions, and risk factors, and details of the compliance officer appointed for the issue. Now we are done with the list of necessary disclosures to be made in a red herring prospectus. This is the list of some of the red herring prospects that were filed with SEBI in the past, right? The SEBI website can provide you details of many more such red herring prospects filed by IPO making companies in India during the past years. Now on your screen, you can see template of the first page of a red herring prospects, right? This is the prospects that was filed by Coffee Day when they came with an IPO in the market. If you look at the bottom part of this page, you can easily note how various investment bankers' names have been given. A red herring prospectus is usually a voluminous document comprising of a substantial number of pages. Therefore, a prospective investor has to be very apt in picking up the vital information from this offer document. Do you know that a draft red herring prospectus goes through many stages to become a final red herring prospectus? Now let's see what are these stages, right? At the beginning, the draft red herring prospectus is filed with SEBI, who examine it and communicate their observations within 30 days to the issuing company. At the same time, draft red herring prospectus, which is called DRHP also in short manner, right? So at the same time, DRHP or draft red herring prospectus is also filed with stock exchanges as a requirement of listing. After SEBI and stock exchanges convey their observations, the lead manager should amend the draft red herring prospectus to incorporate such observations, right? Then draft red herring prospects gets concurrence of SEBI and stock exchange and it becomes red herring prospects. Or more simply, draft word is removed from the title of the prospects, right? Now, this prospects, which is called red herring prospects, can be filed with the registrar of the issue. Now let's look at the points of distinction between a draft red herring prospects and a red herring prospects and see how they are different from each other. From this, we understand that the main difference between a draft red herring prospects and the red herring prospects is that the draft red herring prospects does not contain any price information, while the red herring prospects does contain information about the issue dates and the price band, right? See, price as such is not mentioned in the red herring prospects, but there is always a mention of either floor price or the price band, so that this information can be used by the prospect. This information can be helpful to the prospective investors when they come forward for bidding to a particular issue. Now we have final prospects, right? After including the price band and the size of the issue. Now this document is filed upon closure of the public issue, right? Hence, it does contain issue price at which shares are to be allotted to different eligible applicant investors in the IPO, right? So that's the final stage of a prospectus. We already know that following financial sector reforms of 90s, the capital market in India moved to free pricing schemes for pricing of public offers. Under free pricing regime, the guidelines have provided that the issuer in consultation with investment banker or merchant banker shall decide the price of the issue. There is no price formula stipulated by the market regulator, that is SEBI. SEBI does not, play or interfere in the price fixation, right? SEBI does not play any role, or neither does it, interfere in the price fixation. Okay. The company and the merchant banker are, however, required to give full disclosures of the parameters which they had considered while deciding the issue price, right? There are two types of issues. One, where company and the lead manager fix a price. This is called fixed price issue, right? And the other, where the company and the lead manager stipulate a floor price or a price band and leave the issue price to be decided by the market forces, right? Am I clear? So uh, that is the issue price is discovered through book building method or auction process. So the for one method, the book company and the lead manager decide a price. That method is called fixed price method. In the other case, the price is discovered through auction. Okay, that method is known as book building method of pricing, right? Let's go through the process flow of book building. Let's try to understand how book building moves from stepwise, okay, from beginning to the end, right? At the beginning, it must be noted that book building is the method of determining issue price through auction process that allows buyers to bid for an issue, right? The issue price is then determined after consolidating all the eligible bids received during book building process, right? There is a schematic diagram on your screen which you can now see on the screen, right? That will show you stage wise flow of the book building uh, process, like book building process, right? Let us see what these steps are. Okay, now step number one, the book building process begins with appointment of the investment banker lead manager, who also acts as the book runner, right? Then we have drafting of the prospectus stage, right? Then it's filing of prospects with different regulatory bodies. After these stages, price band is set for the offer and is also disclosed in the red herring prospectus, right? Then the proposed, then the prospectus is circulated in the market, right? Then sixth step is this follows opening of the issue and acceptance of bids from the investors. And in the seventh step, it leads to the, once the bids are received from the investors, it leads to the building of the book, right? So a book is built which conveys about the indicative demand above of the IPO, right? Then after closing of the issue, then issue is closed, and after closing of the issue, the final cutoff price is determined and included in the red herring prospects, right? This is when the final prospects is ready and can be now filed with the registrar of the issue. Finally, book is closed and allotments are made to the successful bidders and refunds are given to the unsuccessful bidders, right? With this book building process comes to an end. So this is in short the stepwise procedure which is adopted for conducting the book building process in case of a public offer, right? So in short, this is how entire IPO process looks like stepwise, right? The red blocks represent the crucial phases that are adopted while going through the book building in a public offer, right? So if you look at the red blocks, they tell you the main steps or the main stages that are involved in case of a book building process, right? Moving on. Now, in a book building issue, the issuer is required to indicate in the red herring prospects either a floor price, that is a minimum price from where investors can start bidding, or the price band within which the bids can move, right? The actual discovered issue price can be any price in the price band or any price above the floor price, right? This issue price is called cutoff price. The issue price is decided by the issuer and the lead manager after considering the book and also investors' appetite for the stock, that is demand, right? As per SEBI guidelines, retail individual investors have an option of applying at cutoff price. They need not to mention any price when they bid, right? Therefore, retail investors can bid without mentioning any price, and their bids will be treated to have been made at the final cutoff price. So once the final cutoff price is decided, applications of all the retail investors will be considered to have bidded on that price, right? Finally, it should be noted that the bidding process under book building in India follows Dutch auction system for pricing of capital issues. Now, what is this Dutch auction system? Let's try to understand in the following slides, right? These are the two important or two prominent ways of bidding followed in the auctions. The first is called Dutch auction and the second is called French auction, right? Now, how they are different, let's try to understand. Under Dutch auction, the price starts high but is successfully dropped until a bidder accepts the going price and the auction ends at that point. While in case of French auction, a floor price is fixed and buyers are asked to bid above that price, but there is no upper limit. So this is how they are actually different. In case of a Dutch auction, the seller mentions a price and then bids are received, then the price is successfully dropped until they reach a price which becomes the issue price. But in case of a French auction, a floor price is set and then the buyers or the bidders are asked to bid above that floor price, right? So this is how they are different. Now, in case of book building mechanism in India, Dutch auction is basically Dutch manner of auction is actually followed, right? Now here is how price is discovered or determined following book building mechanism using Dutch auction system, right? Let's see how it's done. First of all, a book recording all the bids received on daily basis is built during the offer open time. On daily basis, when issue is open for subscription, bids received are consolidated in each price category in terms of bid price and bid size. Upon closure of issue, all the bids are sorted from highest to lowest in terms of their individual bid price, and then bid sizes are accumulated. The issue or cut-off price is worked out as the price corresponding to cumulative bid size equal to the offer size, right? After working out the issue price, bidders that would have bid at or above the cut-off price or made the allotments. So they receive the shares, depending upon the response to the offer. However, if issue is oversubscribed, then allotment is made to the successful bidders on pro rata basis, right? Now we go through an illustration to understand price determination under book building mechanism. Let's suppose that an offer of IPO is made through book building with an issue size of 1 lakh shares and the price band ranging from 100 to 120, right? Now on your screen, you can see a table that shows information on bids received in the given case. This is all hypothetical and has been created for the sake of your understanding. In this table, you can figure out that all the bids received have been sorted and arranged in descending manner. Using this approach, cutoff price in this example would be the price where cumulative value of shares bid equals the issue size. Therefore, in the given case, cumulative value of number of shares bid reaches notified issue size of 1 lakh shares at the price of 110. Hence, this is the cutoff or issue price in the given case. So that's how price is finalized under the book building. Now, those buyers who would have bid either at this price or higher than this will be made the allotments, right? The rest of the buyers, rest of the investors who would have bid at a price lesser than the final issue price, which is 110 in the given case, bid applications in this case will not be accepted, right? Now you may be curious to know about the definition of the retail investor, right? Because all of us, you, me, everybody, we are a part of the retail investment segment. The retail individual investor is such an investor who applies or bids for securities under a public offer for an amount equal to or less than rupees 2 lakhs. If retail investors bid with an amount above rupees 2 lakhs, then their bids are considered under high net worth individual segment, in which case they cannot get the benefit of 5% discount that is otherwise reserved for retail investors, right? So retail investors have an incentive if they participate in a public offer that they can get allotment of shares cheaper to the extent of 5% of issue price than the other allottees, right? Moreover, retail investors have also one more privilege, and that's they can bid under non-competitive category, right? How can they bid under non-competitive category? Under this category, they need not to mention any price when they make a bid. Their applications are by default considered to be bid at the cutoff price, right? Therefore, retail investors have more certainty to get allotment of shares because there is a quota reserved for them under the public offer. Now, as per the cyber rules of Government of India, the facility of bidding online by the investors is not provided. The prospective investors can make bids using offline mode. The brokers can then forward physical bid application forms to the syndicate members and also upload bids electronically on the stock exchange portal, so that indicative demand for a public offer is built on daily basis to provide back updated information to the market and investors in particular, right? The efforts of the brokers in the syndicate lead building of the book on the major stock exchanges like NSE and BSE on daily basis, right? Which can be watched then by the both issuers as well as the investors to make and revise their offer or bids, right? One of the advantages of book building is that both the parties in the auction can revise their price quotes. That's buyer is allowed to revise the bid price made and the seller has flexibility to revise the offer price, right? Hence, depending on how demand for certain public offer evolves during issue open time, the buyer or the seller may use option of revision in case of their bid or offer prices. Now let's see how issuers can revise the offer price or the price band under book building offer. When issue is open, the issuer company and the lead manager can decide to revise the price band depending on demand for the issue. The revision can be made by changing the notified price band uh, either way to the extent of 50%. That's issuers can move up both floor price and cap price or else bring down both floor price as well as cap price, but to the maximum extent of 50% only. In either of these revisions, the issuer should maintain a gap or a spread of 20% between the floor price and the cap price. Now, what is this floor price and cap price? The floor price is the minimum price and cap price is the maximum price given under the price band concept, right? On the screen, you can see an example. Suppose that a company sets the price band as 100 to 120. In this case, 100 is the floor price and 120 is the cap price. You can also notice that between 100 and 120, there's a gap of 20%. Okay. Now let's see how revisions can be made in this price band. If company wants to increase the price, then it can move price band to the right by maximum 50%. Right? If it does so, right? If it does so, then the new price band, would be 150 to 180, again with a gap of 20%, because 180 minus 150 is 30, and 30 divided by floor price 150 is 20%. Similarly, if company wants to decrease or reduce the price band, right, then it can move price band to the left by maximum 50%. In that case, the new price band may be 50 to 60 with a gap of, again with a gap of 20%, right? Therefore, the price band can be moved up or down subject to the ceiling of 50% and the gap of 20% between the floor price and the cap price. This is how an issuing company can revise the price band offered in the public offer, right? Now let's see how retail investors are allowed to make revision in their bids. Since they bid at the cut-off price, so there is no scope of making revisions in the bid price. Only quantity of bid can be revised. However, if an investor would have bid using a certain price, then it can revise the bid and quantity of the bid using a separate bid revision form. This is the standard duration for which issue can be kept open for subscription or bidding. For example, public issue made through fixed price is kept open for 3 to 10 days. The issue made through book building route are kept open for 3 to 7 days, which is extendable to 3 more days in case issuers revise price band. The rights issue can be kept open for subscription for a period of 15 to 30 days. Finally, we need to know about listing and commencement of trading of the public offer. The listing of the public offer on the stock exchange is done within 7 days from the finalization of the issue. That's after filing of basis of allotment and completion of entire allotments and refunds process. This is ideally 3 weeks after the closure of the issue made through book building route. The fixed price issue takes 37 days after its closure to list on the stock exchange. Once the issue gets listed on the stock exchange, the investors can trade in the securities that they would have brought under the offer and redeem any capital gains accrued to them. With this, we come to the conclusion of today's discussion on understanding of book building process.